but because you have scanned it today, it will give you today's date.
Yeah.
So I started looking in software that can change the date and found some.
Really?
Yes. It's command line again, that's why I went to command line. But you change the date and then you ingest it in any photographic software. So it goes by date there. You can tag it, and then when you're within that software, of course, they allow you to change the dates without touching the original data.
Okay.
So that way I have been able to put old data with new dates. It's a bit of command line there.
That's amazing. I mean, how can you find out?
But I have not yet succeeded with videos to date them properly.
No, this is the date of creation of the file, am I right?
Yeah, but you want to, when you're putting it
Which is the metadata for that file.
correct. So you want to modify.
So you have to change the metadata.
Exactly.
The
by
problem is to
using
know
the
the
script.
metadata. I mean, how to you do it manually?
No, I use p-batch,
Yeah. So you
photo batch,
Yeah.
and then you set up what you want to do, then it does it for a
Yeah.
bunch of them.
So your photos are grouped by age, like you have those from 1945 and 96.
And then if it is
I
during the
already
day,
thought
it will
it's
add
a-
5 minutes to each.
I already thought that it's a program that scans a picture and finds out from the content when it's taken. So it was like,
Much lower than that.
Wow.
this way.
This computer has a traditional BIOS or the new BIOS?
This is traditional banking. This actually it's much older. It was made in 2007. This machine has a touch screen, has a high resolution display, and so on. So it's
Now, are the people really facing the difficulty because of the new
yes, sometimes yeah.
installing Linux?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but I think there is a way around. I think you can hack the. Yeah. I mean, I always don't like buying computers in Europe because you have to buy the operating system. So usually I went to Thailand and used the opportunity there. I bought it in Thailand because then you can get it without operating system. But this one was the old one just broke down and then I had to get a new one. Yeah. So here I had to buy the Windows.
How about the Linux users groups in your city in Switzerland?
I never connected much to local Linux users groups. No, I was more on the web and connected to people there. Yeah.
Basel, there must be some Linux users.
There are a few Linux users, and I have friends who are into open source and free software and so on. But it's still the mainstream hasn't changed. And I guess because you buy the machine and it's already everything installed, and people don't know why.
So the percentage of users of Linux is very small.
What is that percentage? Is anyone?
5-10%.
5-10%.
I mean,
But if for instance it's free,
No, if you
open,
take into account Android,
it doesn't matter.
Android is Linux. If you take into account Android is Android.
all your mobile phones and things.
No, the basic problem is when Microsoft started, they assumed everyone wants it to be spoon-fed.
Yeah.
They also know everyone doesn't want to change after that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Two things. If I spoon feed you into doing something, you get used to it, then you will be very reluctant to shift to another system which may be better, even though it's obvious to you it's better, because no matter how better the other system is, when you shift, there's a
Learning
There's a
curve.
learning curve.
There's a-
And so they banked on those two things, and people don't shift up.
For instance, I am a total ignoramus as this is concerned. I used to work on Microsoft, and then my son persuaded me to buy a Mac. So I got a MacBook and then do whatever I do on the MacBook. I want to buy another computer now, and I'm thinking of using Linux. And I want to know all the. To know all the.
If you
how
do
you
the
go about
general
it?
stuff,
Yeah.
if you remain within the general context,
Okay.
you should have no problem whether you work in Windows, whether you work in Mac, or whether you work in Linux. Except for the fact that in Linux it'll be, at least the software is free, right? The problem is only when you go into doing some odd things. Let's say, for example, you are a person who
Graphics.
does a lot of graphics.
Okay.
Then you start going deeper. You might land into problems. Simply because you know how to do it here, You don't know how to do it here. Which I could do it so easily here. Why can't I do it so easily?
Also more difficult on Linux?
Not necessarily.
It's
For example, we tried an experiment. There was a person who had not worked on computers.
Okay.
Technically, if we take them and put them into any system, they should be able to work.
Okay.
But we found that was not happening. That was because you also turn around to your friends to ask for help.
Yeah.
And if 9 out of 10 of your friends are working on Windows, what do you think will happen?
The other thing is, to be honest, you need some level of support, because when you're getting started, you could get stuck somewhere.
That
Fortunately,
I would like to debate that, because
Okay.
I'll tell you.
no.
I have a
Fortunately,
library.
one sec.
Is it as sort of intuitive as say a
No,
Mac
no.
is, or
Try to operate this system. Have a look.
No, I used to conduct training program, usually 4 days program, in which we say that if you are
Can you open the
using Windows,
web
within
browser?
4 days you will be able to switch over. But these four days is important because you have to unlearn some of the things which you have learned in Windows. Otherwise, what you will do is that you will think that you are using Windows, but do something, but that thing will not happen. So there is certain unlearning is needed.
I have the opposite problem. When I'm back on the Windows system,
yeah.
then I always make the mistakes that I try to use a middle mouse click for copy paste. Middle mouse click, let's copy paste in Unix. It's brilliant. And they always make the mistake and they can't get over it. So it's always, oh no, I have to use Control C.
Yeah, but then when you look at it in the general terms, I'll give another example.
But thanks to our earlier group, today I can get support in my village, which is Ashley.
See
So
that.
so building up support is a key issue.
Let me point out to you that
Is a key
support-
issue.
Even I want that support. For
Today,
example, I link
with
up to
the
Ashley Delaney
broadband-
because I'll get that support. But the problem comes is, if you really look at it, you can get away with the support if you're ready to put in that time.
You're a supporter, yeah. So in that sense, you're not right.
No, but
He's
I can
self-trained. He can afford to talk.
I can show you anyone who
After being a school principal, he has taught himself programming. So
Yeah.
after retiring,
Today, with broadband and easy access to the net, I don't think support is an issue.
Exactly.
That
See,
I can-
I'll give you a simple example. I have a librarian who always got help from others.
Tapasvi.
So he once approached me for some solution. I told him, look on the net. He refused. I refused to give him help. He looked on the net. He got 3 answers. He asked me which one. I said, you try it.
moving from here.
After the second time, he is only doing it on the net now. That's it.
Where you want to go?
see, getting started is the only challenge. Once you get started, then it is.
This is the tabs, you can click here.
Okay.
Unless you're a hardcore
That's
user.
Firefox. Then you can go to the files or you can go to...
Okay.
I challenge you, if you open a Windows, Ubuntu system, and then you bring someone who knows only Windows and tell him to use it, he'll easily use it without any difficulty.
I did a test actually in Thailand. There were 3 computers and one always had problems on the Windows. The Windows was faulty. So I just used my key, installed a Ubuntu system without anyone asking anyone. I just did it.
There was an experiment done in Delhi.
Yeah.
A big computer firm had a wall hanging onto the, looking onto the
I
slide.
read that.
So they built a cutting, put a computer,
And
and
kids.
gave them no help at all. They not only figured out how to use the computer, but they came up with terminology that was similar to what is the terminology, like mouse, this, that, etc.
There's this person who conducted this experiment, yeah.
I read about that too.
Yeah, but this now when you buy these laptops, they are available they come with Windows.
Oh,
So if they come with Windows, you can
HP gives you a particular version
Ubuntu.
with Linux.
with Linux.
Almost all the brands now give you one.
Dell gives you.
This is a bad thing.
But if
that
it
you
comes
use
with
one
Windows,
option.
can
They give you
you?
one option.
Yeah.
But if it comes with Windows, can you also install
No,
it?
you make a partition. In the partition,
By theory, no, but Linux allows you to do that. Windows doesn't allow you to do that. So from Linux, you can have multi-windows. So
So
now,
do a dual boot.
dual boot.
and then
So
you
you
can
can
choose.
have Mac, Windows, Linux. And whilst booting, you choose which one you want to go in. That's it.
So when you buy now, you buy
No one will sell it to you. No one
something
will sell
with
you
Ubuntu,
dual boot.
with you to buy one with.
They'll sell you with one operating system. The dual boot has to be done subsequently.
So you buy any
Why?
operating system.
Why?
You can buy Windows or.
Why?
Install a VM.
Because of the way the software giants are selling the software, right?
Market.
Market pressure.
In Europe, it's the main problem because you have to buy the Windows and you have to buy this $200-300 for the license.
See, for example, if you buy a machine with Linux on it, I don't know about Mac. You can then subsequently go on to add any number of other
Windows
software,
yeah.
like Windows, Mac, etc. And Windows has that this where it will allow you to do that.
The NAS is
And
the
Linux.
So Linux means Ubuntu, is it?
No,
No,
Linux
no.
is
No, not
a
necessarily.
browser term, and then within Linux, there
There are so many flavors.
Okay.
Flavors. Ubuntu,
companies that create a bundle,
Oh, Mint.
a distribution.
but the
Ubuntu is
basics
a
are
distribution.
Debian and Red Hat.
Okay.
Then everyone is based on that. So it's.
Okay.
I mean, if you blindly take an Ubuntu machine or a Mint machine, for example, you probably will straight away, without difficulty, be able, of course, with a little hassle here and there, but you'll be able to then, with your Windows knowledge, start using it. Now, how effectively you'll use is how open-minded you are. Like he gave an example, there'll be times where you'll have almost the same screen, except for one option which will be somewhere else. So you have to have that little bit of patience to find out where that option has disappeared. It won't be in the same order that's in Windows. Windows will have under File something, under Edit something, under View something. In Linux what will happen, you'll get the same thing, but there will be one or two options which will be in a different place. They would have put it in a different place because they have looked at the whole problem logically different. If you have the time to find it, you are in business.
And in Windows, you have plenty of breaks with a blue screen where you have to restart and coffee and that.
Can I just request Tony to say just 5 minutes or 2 minutes on
Yes.
his experiences with going to programming after being a headmaster, school headmaster? Sangre.
I found myself spending a lot of time on the computer, so I decided to go into this. I would rather speak about my experiences with open source for you, which is formerly called Linux for you. I started working with them about a year back, a little over a year back. What amazes me is that people who submit articles, the manuscripts, very often those are in MS Word. Very surprising that these people are writing for a Linux magazine, but they are sending their articles in MS Word. So I have to take the trouble of converting them into LibreOffice for a writer. Okay, so that is what amazed me. Like these guys are experts in Linux, but they are using Windows.
No, I'll tell you a problem there. I pushed Linux in NIO, and the present Vice Chancellor, he was then in the physics department,
Dr. Shetty.
Dr. Shetty. So he went into using OpenOffice, as it was called before LibreOffice came. And he started exchanging documents with other of his people in his group, some in Bangalore, etc. Now the problem with this is that most people are using Microsoft Office.
Yeah.
So they take the file in and input it into Microsoft Office, make the changes and send it back to him. But sometimes there's that interface problem. Some tables started getting lost.
Tables.
Because when you pass it into Microsoft Office and bring it back, so they started having a disconnect in the paper that was going back and
But one thing I've noticed, see, while Windows is trying to lock you into their system, Linux is actually trying to talk with as many
No,
systems as possible.
see, you have to
And even for example, if we are doing books, okay, so we are using Lix. To import a Windows set file into Lix is quite simple.
it's not difficult.
It's
True.
not- it's not
But
difficult.
the problem now I'm telling you is that supposing now I am interacting with a group of 10 people.
Yeah.
Of the 8 are using Windows. When they take it to them, they read it in Windows.
True.
Some part of the document can get lost.
Like Abbey Word doesn't work as well as LibreOffice for that matter. Sometimes this works better, sometimes that. So
that's where the problem is.
There is.
So
What
he
happens-
came back to me. Let me just finish. He came back to one point. He said, "What is the use?" I said, "No, there's something that I can show you 10 people in the group that you are working. They are all using Linux. So why aren't you all using LibreOffice and finish the matter?" That is one. The other one is it's the same. Dr. Shetty. He had a problem with his Microsoft, with his Fortran compiler at home. So he had to do something. He couldn't find anyone who could reinstall it. So I told him, just give the command for reinstall. He says, then what's the hell if there's no use of support? So it depends on your mindset. If you're not ready to put in that time to do those little bits of things. So then I just told him blindly, you just reinstall Fortran and all his problems disappear. But the issue again is, he doesn't want to be tied in with, I'll have to, read up, find out what to do, ask someone. Out of 10 people, only one person will
See,
tell.
but in the NIO now, Albert, because you all have such a scientific community, the equation is slightly different.
But
Anyway,
in spite of that, I'm telling you the problems are similar, right? If I go to NIO with scientific community, okay, in the general world, 10% of the people are using Linux. So how much do you think it should be in NIO? You'll say 50%? It's only 15%. So there's something.
So what happens, Albert, when a new edition of the Office suite comes out? The Microsoft Office 2.10 came out. Immediately what happens, Linux is not able to...
No, but why should Linux be able to
No,
match up to
listen to
them?
me. It takes some time before Linux catches up with it. Okay, so that is what happens very often when you say you get a PowerPoint presentation. You can't open it in Linux sometimes.
No, okay, let me come back to the same problem where things are getting missing. I asked them why they were using, whether they were using anything that was specific to the new version of Microsoft Word. They went. So if they went, they could have managed with the older version. Why were they using the newer version? But people want to use the latest, and Microsoft locks you in. Not only locks you in, it tries to create problems.
One system of Microsoft may not talk to another version, so that is a different.
Compatible.
Huh?
It's not backwards.
It's not backwards compatible.
So you can't help these things. So you have to take
It's
a
not
decision
forward
on your
compatible.
own. And
It's
you
backwards
cannot
No,
choose.
there is a change.
Not backwards
Governments were
compatible.
changing. In Munich, they changed.
Why? Look at
It's not
Tamil
forward
Nadu. They have
compatible.
banned Microsoft Office. They want only Linux on all their machines.
Who?
Tamil Nadu.
Tamil Nadu.
If you go into the IAS system, the IAS officers, there is a huge group of 40% of them trying to put Linux. I have had no end of IAS officers who have approached me to try and see how we can push Linux into systems.
As far as I know, Google has not a single copy of Microsoft.
Hmm?
Google has not a single copy of Microsoft.
Look, the thing is here, it's salesmanship. Microsoft spends crores of rupees on salesmanship.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
There are huge
It's
commissions
not only that,
involved.
It's actually there's a very strong connection to the Pentagon. I mean, computer technology came from US and it's a spying software. So the link of Microsoft to NSA and Pentagon and so on is quite obvious.
Yeah.
NSA is the biggest.
Let me put you up to you. You heard of what is that mapping software in Linux?
Mind map? No.
No.
Nmap.
Another one.
Nmap is a security software.
Which does terrains and everything. If you go into the open source and if you then study the funding
Grass,
pattern,
that is called
grass software. If you study this funding pattern for all this open source software, 50% have been funded by the USA of A, by the Defense Department, by the Army,
NSA
etc.
also.
NSA also. They fund it, get it to a functional situation, leave it out there in the open, then take the code and modify internally and use as they want. Check it out. 50% of open source is funded either by the NSA, the Defense Department, etc. Grass is one of the biggest examples. And in US they have a law that says that when you make a software, it should not become proprietary. So the reason they are funding this is to show that it's not proprietary. You say I'm using this, but there is the other thing there.
But why are they doing it?
For the law's sake. The law in the United States says you should not help create proprietary software. So even though they create software with Microsoft and use it, they create this parallel one and leave it out in the open. It's there. You have not created it.
At one time there was this problem in the Goa board. They specified the use of Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint.
By name,
stuff like-
by name.
By name. There was a big issue here.
Students
I
have to
was on
study.
one of these panels. I sat through that syllabus. I removed all the reference to Microsoft and showed them that without those references, anyone can use a Microsoft system or a LibreOffice system, that time it was OpenOffice, etc., etc.
Even when they were
3 months down the line, all the
Came back.
Microsoft references were back.
Came back. First, I think we were trying to put our equivalent in, because even if you're saying Windows or if you're saying if you're saying Microsoft Word, you give an equivalent. You cannot prescribe proprietorial products for anything, for that matter.
you can't have a syllabus with proprietary stuff.
Correct.
No, I'll give you the first example when Manohar Parrikar gave his first set of computers. Linux was installed in them. Stallman spoke to him. He
Yeah.
agreed. Within 6 months they gave Microsoft also. And why was it? Because the parents put the pressure. Parents were not using the systems.
Albert, when
Because gaming was easier on Microsoft
Better.
than
Maybe it was a long
Linux.
time
Better,
ago.
better,
Changed
better.
also.
It was probably better also.
So the children told their parents, we can't do anything without Microsoft. The government is giving us lousy software.
Yeah.
And so the pressure was put on and they got in Microsoft. Had those children worked with those Linux systems, they would have probably been able to work in the Microsoft world even better.
Yeah.
Also, it makes them a deeper level of computer geeks, because it's all open, and the full culture is towards sharing. So you see, we meet one guy on the net, we call him, drag him in to give a talk without batting an eyelid and without us spending a rupee on him. He's here. So that kind of thing you cannot get in Microsoft unless it's sales talk. Proprietorial world is a different way of thinking. Our youngsters have reached all kinds of places
Yes.
because of the ability to.
Quite a number of one laptop per child computers were given. They were only on Linux. What is the story of that now? Are
Yeah,
they
but then
using
within
it?
6 months Windows was given, right?
No, OLPC, OLPC.
Because
Sugar.
feasible.
Yeah.
It was just too much concentrated on children, and it didn't connect to the rest. And then they had lots of losses and lack of software.
There was a school where they were implementing it. Our problem in Goa is that we don't have good connection. So this was a totally separate group from this. Once or twice we interacted with them, but not sufficiently. Now I don't know whether they're still there.
On Marcel, one school.
Medses.
And then they
I
had the
interacted
cheaper
with them. I
laptops
installed
on the market.
some.
Now you
Sangmare.
have the Firefox OS. This is probably the new OS.
He's mumbling something here. Please do.
I interacted with them. I installed some of their Linux operating systems. It seemed a good project, but
See, you need support for these things, and for support you need critical mass.
no, it's okay. I'm comfortable. See, Albert, when they were inducing teachers to buy laptops, they were forcing them to buy laptops with Windows on them, and then there was a hue and cry again. Now then they gave them the choice to buy whichever ones they wanted.
Yeah, I'm not saying no, but at the end of the day, what is our experience? Our experience is that Linux has been put in a 10% barrier.
Yeah, that's right.
See, I'll tell you, I'll make one point. When we were campaigning for it,
Only Linux.
see, when we were campaigning for it, what was our thought? Our thought that it would enter the desktop. It has entered everywhere but the desktop. Now mobiles, your Google searches.
Ubuntu on a desktop does anything and everything.
No, but I'm saying the desktop didn't prove to be the winnable battlefield. There other places have actually been won. Today the net is running on free and open source software by and large.
No, I'll ask you one thing. In Goa, how many dealers have engineers who will load Linux for you?
True.
They can come to us and we will load for them. Come on.
They have done it in Moira. They have been doing it.
See, if it is to work on a commercial basis.
See, I'll tell you
See,
something.
this
here.
other side, Cerebra, on my instruction, he had kept an old computer on one side and he used to let his people play on Linux. At that time, he used to give support both ways. Now, because of numbers, I don't know. Now, the only person I can contact is Ashley Digger.
Ashley is good at it.
See,
Ashley is good.
Commerce College here, Dempo, they wanted Linux installed on it. So Edgar, Stanley, Arvind and myself
And Augusto.
and Augusto, yes, of course, the Augusto's initiative.
Yeah.
We installed Linux on them, but then afterwards there were certain programs that they needed to use, like Tally, which wouldn't run on Linux.
Fair enough. Run those separately.
For the taxes. Like,
No. Tally is a accounting program which is very popular in India.
Yeah, Tally is
For some reason, it's very popular in India.
and it's like you have to have Microsoft for it.
Yeah, so they can have separate systems to run them. But there are problems. I don't deny this.
Anyway,
Yeah, main problem was the virus problem, which was eliminated with Linux.
like I've not lost data for 10 or 12 years. I've not lost a single piece of data. Like
Use Linux.
Yeah.
No, but you look at NIO's full data center, there is not a single Microsoft on India. Everything, every single server is Linux.
Even
And
after
they
you
don't have
left,
problem-
even after you left,
After I left.
they will continue with
They
it.
have less problems, right? Why are they going to ship from that?
I tried in Switzerland to use consumer organization to help me buy laptops without pre-install Linux. I found it that's against the free market. And I contacted many, but they said, well, the situation is that there is like a few, like 5-6 small shops sell you laptops with Linux. So there is not a monopoly. And they didn't continue. I tried it. Would have been nice to.
See, everyone feels happy to buy a proprietary product because they think
Yeah, they think
that they can hold someone accountable. The trouble is that fellow you can hold accountable is so massive, you can do nothing.
It's like going to a private hospital where you pay through your nose
Yes,
and you feel that the healthcare is better.
yes.
Whereas dealing with government is a bit of a dicey thing, no? The nurses don't pay you attention and all this. So we like.
It's a feeling. You have the feeling of
It's a
your,
feeling.
the feelings in your,
It's a feeling that someone will help you. Or it's a feeling that I can sue someone.
yeah,
Will you succeed is a different issue.
So thank you so much
Okay.
for coming here and sparing
Thank you
time
for
with us.
listening.
And if you're free to interact outside, you're free to join us for a cup of tea at Sarovar. Anyone wants to come. Yeah. So please.